Tonight, we're fueled by the God's Glory and Men's Real Stories coffee, made specifically for all my guests by me.
Coming to stores near you.
Hey, welcome to God's Glory and Men's Real Stories. I'm excited that you would join us today for another great episode. And to all those listening for the first time, thank you for joining us. I want you to know that your story and what you may be going through, they matter here, and you're not alone. So don't worry about what chapter you're in because God's still writing your story. So sit back with a community that cares about you and hopes that you feel God's love as well as see God's glory in Men's Real Stories. So my special guest today was my unofficial first podcast promoter. And he began to circulate these men's stories around to his friends in fire pits before I even knew what was going on, because he understood what happens when men begin to open up and share their past and present struggles with their brothers. Chains begin to break and lives begin to change. So I'm excited to sit down with the man who's played a big part in and I'm sure well over 20,000 of the YouTube subscribers I have to date. So I want to welcome our brother, Christian Hughes, to the episode.
Hey,
what's going on, bro?
Not much, just living a dream.
Living a dream. Let's start off with you introducing yourself before we jump all the way down here. Who is Christian? Share with us a little bit about yourself so my audience knows who they're listening to today.
Well, my name's Christian. So I've been a Christian my whole life.
It's good.
I've been a follower of Jesus for not even close to that long. But I guess I've known he's been there. Culinary, I love to cook. Food makes me happy, cooking and eating, both sides of it.
Yeah, nothing like that.
Yeah, I do. I do enjoy some food. I also soccer and hockey, love it. Best two sports out there. I will argue that with anybody.
Wait, did you just say soccer?
I did.
So you do have to argue then.
I do.
Yeah,
I will. The original football. I was living out in North South Carolina for the last 3 or 4 years, and just recently moved back to Florida. That's my happy place. That's why I tell everybody it's my happy place. I like the beach, the sun, the heat. Sometimes, even though I like being cold, I like the heat of outside. Right. The air is just more freeing.
Yeah.
I don't know. It brings out some different energy out of me. So that's me. My wife's the complete opposite. She hates everything about Florida. But
it's great. So you are, and this doesn't happen often, but the beauty of this episode is that we got to sit down and share a meal. All of our families got to sit down. And so we got to hear that, your wife just recently went to a retreat that my wife loves to go to, which is the Well. But, I learned in breaking bread how we are all so similar, but then also we have all of our differences. It makes us beautiful in relationships because it's not like one way or the other way. There's a level of love that says, even though we're different, my love is consistent, and my love doesn't change just because maybe as we grow older, we start to like different things. We start to want to be different places. Yep. It's like, it brings us together closer because I recognize that it's a commitment that says, despite like how I feel and how much sometimes I want it to be my way, it's like, it's our way. Mm-hmm. It's our way. And sometimes I may have to say, hey, look, you got that. You got that. I'm going to back up on it. But there are also moments where you recognize that the love of the person that you're with, they also do the same thing sometimes, and absolutely. Saying like, hey, look, I know you really wanted to do this, so let's do it your way. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna let you take the lead. And there's nothing like receiving that gift from a person that you have demonstrated or showcased the level of I love you so much that I want to not just see you happy, because I recognize that that's not our job to make them happy, but but yes, well, we can go on a whole testimony on that one. Yes, but I can tell by the way you said exactly. But more importantly, it's a joy to say, I want to lay down what I was thinking about doing or how I want to see it done. to understand what you want to do and to bring you into this, and for us to maybe say, hey, look, you know what? I like your idea actually, and it's less about me, but more about the fact that I'm okay with that. So I think that's beautiful. That's one thing I definitely recognize as we all sit down there and ate dinner. So and no, I don't normally feed my guests, but hey man, look, when you promoted, when you promoted the way you have for me, man, look, I can't bring you here and not feed you. So yeah, no, I appreciate you coming today, man. You know, I recognize that every time I sit down with people, it opens up a door for people to be able to share the dream that they're living in right now, the story that they're living in, and it gives them the space to be able to share the, you know, as I always say, the highs and the lows of it, you know, and all dreams aren't, I mean, I personally can say that every last one of my dreams are not always good dreams, but that doesn't change the fact that I'm still living a life that's directed by our Father. So, you know, in spite of having bad dreams sometimes, and I've had some crazy conversations with past guests about like just how dreams sometimes can play a huge role in how you wake up and show up every day. I recognize that, man, like our dreams, man, and our visions sometimes are like the stars that point us to where God's taking us. So when you say, hey, look, I'm living a dream, that means that God's taking you somewhere and he's showing you some great things, I'm sure.
Well, sometimes I have to correct myself and say I'm living a dream. It took a long time to realize, and, you know, people just always say, like, what's your dream? Like, and you hear that, and it's like, is that just one dream? Can you have more than one dream?
Yeah.
I mean, I have several dreams. Dreams to me is something that I envision myself enjoy doing in the future or now.
For sure.
You know, something that brings me joy, or like just even being in the presence with friends, family, and stuff like that.
No, that's beautiful.
Where you live, you know, the job that you're doing. I don't have a dream job right now, but I've done my dream job. I don't, you know, I live in a very beautiful place. I have a very beautiful wife. So, I mean, that was, you know, outside of high school, that was the biggest dream.
No.
You know, like God just blessed me with a wife. That's what I want.
Wow.
And he did. He blessed me.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I think that was the biggest thing for me, is just realizing you can have more than one dream.
Right.
And you're never too old or too young to pursue dreams.
That's good.
So
that's good.
If you back up into my life, I would say early on as a young child, a dream of mine would be to survive. And then I made it to survive in a certain time. And then I would get another dream. Like, oh, now my dream is to, you know, go to this school and be able to, like, make friends. You know, dreams don't have to be big, ginormous dreams.
Sure.
You know, I want to live in a castle, or I want to, you know, have this dream car. Like, I do have a dream car, but I'm going to tell you, I probably never own that dream car, because it's like, by the time I get to a point, and if I have that, those cars will not be around.
For sure.
But
sure.
Dreams, just because you don't reach a dream or get a dream, doesn't mean it's over. You can get another dream.
No.
Dreams come and go.
Yeah. That's true. And that's
Life
true.
Life changes.
Okay, but okay. Ooh. Okay, so that takes me to a good place then, a good question then. So if dreams come and go, and we recognize that God guides us by visions and dreams, and I always question this: how many dreams has He allowed me to see that I didn't believe were actually attainable in my life, based on what I had seen and what I was seeing, to say that, God, if you can give me that vision, then I believe you can make it come to pass. Mm-hmm. But you need me to step forward. You need me to step into that dream. You need me to believe and have faith that what you're showing me can come to pass. How many times do you feel like you may have seen things that you felt like, okay, that dream is way too much. Let me like keep it to like small dreams. Let me keep it to something safe, something that's more realistic than this far-fetched dream.
See, I don't know how to answer that, because So I have a dream right now. So
Okay.
we talked earlier about a past of mine where I used to despise children. And then I got into a relationship. I got married now, and now I have a dream to become a father. And we've been trying for 3-4 years, and it's just like it's not there. So I'm like, God, like, this is a dream of mine. I mean, is it mine? Like, is it just like something that I'm wanting for? Is it something that, is it like if you don't want it to happen for me, take this away. Take this dream, take this wish and desire away. I mean, and I know the Bible says, God will give you the desires of your heart. People like to stop right there.
Come on now.
I'm really good at stopping right there.
Come on now. Yeah, because it's really good if you, like, when you stop there, there's a comfort in that.
Yeah, but there's a comfort in that, but there's also a fakeness to that. Because
for sure.
Then you take, well, God, you give me the desires of my heart. That is taking all the glory away from him and taking it up on us. It's all about me. So if you keep going and it says, give me the desires of my heart according to your will.
Yeah.
You can't cut that out. Why are you going to cut God out of that?
Well, because there's a thing. I feel like there's a thing of like, yeah, but like, what if it's not God's will? So if it's possibly not,
just let me know.
If it's possibly not God's will, I don't want to like input him, because if it's not his will, then it could not be my. I think the best way to say it is, God, align my heart's desires with yours. And I'm so glad you know that, because when my heart's desires are aligned with yours, then my desires are already what you have in will to give to me, what you want to do through me. And so I think there need to be more people who say, like, God, allow my desires to be your desires. Allow my desires to be your will. Allow it to align with your heart, to where it's more for your glory instead of for my glory. Because I think you said that, in that we do get comfortable with, like, man, God, I would just love that. That's my heart's desires. And you said you'd give me my heart's desires. So, like, are you, is that real? And I, you know what? I would go as far as saying there are a lot of people that have turned away from God because they felt like he didn't give them their heart's desires. Matter of fact,
they stopped.
There it is.
But for me, it was so much as so like, all right, God, you said you was going to give me the desires of my heart. I'd stop right there, and then I called him a liar. Okay, God, so you just lied? Why am I going to continue reading your word when this is in your word? But you're not coming true to your word right there. But really what it is he's being true to his word. We just stopped reading. Yeah. We stopped listening and hearing.
Sheesh.
So
oh my goodness.
That's my biggest struggle right now. And then I got my wife down here, who everybody's like, yeah, your wife's, she's kind of like a new Christian, ain't she? Yeah, she might be new, but she's seasoned, because she tells me all the things that I say to people all the time, but I can't believe it myself. She's now, baby. Like, that's not what God means. You got to keep going, Like, God's going to provide for us. You got to believe it. And why is it that every single time something good happens in our life, we praising, we happy, but every time something bad happens, we're like, God, you just not there? Like, what's up?
Yeah, you're not going to show up in this moment right here?
Yeah,
you're not where you at?
And then we take that praise and we turn it into praising the devil and blaming God.
Okay, so how does that look? That
looks,
just for those who are like, well, wait a minute, I don't think I'm ever praising the devil. Like,
man, okay, so let me tell you. So I've been down in Florida for about since first week of March, doing nothing but working, and then trying to find a place for my wife and I to live. And I was talking to this one landlord, and she's like, no, this is not gonna happen. And I'm like, nah, I believe in God. God's gonna provide for this. Went about 2 or 3 weeks, it didn't provide, and I believed in there, and then it didn't happen. I'm like, really, God? Really? Like I believed this was gonna happen, and it didn't make it happen. I knew you weren't gonna come through. And then I get mad. And then another week come through, and it's like somebody messaged me out of the blue like, hey, we heard you looking for a place. We got a perfect setup for you. It's super affordable for you. We're willing to work with everything. They didn't even care about the past. And I was like, all right, God, that's on me. I'm sorry, you know?
Yeah.
Because it's not that he was closing a door. It just, that's the problem with a lot of people, especially me, is everybody's like, oh, you know, God's going to open the door for you. And God does say, you know, knock on the door and it'll be in you. Right. Yeah. But he never says that first one you knock on is going to be the door for you.
For sure.
If you walking down a hallway, for instance, okay, say you walking down a hallway of just all these doors, and the first one you come to is open. That doesn't mean God opened that door for you. That means God opened that door for somebody else. You need to keep walking, find your door. Like,
okay, so wait. So for those who are like, well, wait a minute, bro. Like if I see an open door and I feel like that door has my name on it and I've been praying for that door, why would I not walk into it? And I think you said even earlier, you were like, well, you know, I recognize that it didn't happen in the timing I was expecting. And so I felt like God, where are you at? Like, I prayed about this. I believed in faith. But I think we overlook the fact that God's doing something and he's doing it his way. And it doesn't align with what we imagine or how we see it. So we feel like, well, God, you just made me look like a fool when that didn't happen the way. But God's like, wait on it. Wait on it. Wait on it. And a lot of times we're too busy turning around and kicking our feet in the dirt and giving up. So we miss what God's already working for. And I'm guilty. Like, I've been that guy where I recognize that when God doesn't show up the first time the way I thought he would, I start to believe that he's not in this.
And it's like, no matter how many times he proves to you that you're there, you just I can't, like, something hard comes up again. I'm like, okay, God, like,
so true.
You know, like,
so true.
It's like it's all about us worship. Like, we can't, because all of life is worship. Everything you do. Worship isn't just singing songs. Yeah. Worship is everything you do in God's name for God's glory. That's worship. Yeah. And so that comes to believing, that comes to everything. Yeah. And so, like, my wife was to tell everybody, on paper, it does not make sense how we make ends meet, how we make bills. Like, it doesn't make sense. Yeah. But we always got bills paid. We got money, like, in our bank account. Like, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't have to. He doesn't have to make sense.
No, for sure. For sure. And I would go as far as saying, when it doesn't make sense, it's easier to give him the glory, because you recognize, I can't explain this by the logic we all live by. By the logic I live by, I should have filed for bankruptcy. I should have, like, already gone into a hole that I couldn't get out of. But it's when he steps into our stories that it's like, okay, so, like, let's just put all the logic to the side for a second. Yeah. Because this isn't going to make any sense, which is why I'm always saying it's crazy. But in this crazy turn of events, God showed up in this story and he turned it for my good. And it's got to be for his glory.
It has to be.
Because when I don't, like you said, when I don't give him the glory for what he's doing, I'm missing out on an opportunity to worship him for all that he's done and all that he's going to do. And I truly feel like it's like opening a door for a person. I always recognize as a pet peeve of people. It's like opening the door for a person and they walk in and you're like,
you don't say nothing.
You're welcome. and you're laughing because you know it's true. You're welcome.
I don't say it. I scream it.
And it's because you recognize that you just did something. Ooh, you just opened the door for them. And in return, they didn't even look back to say thank you.
Oh, man.
Right.
I know where you're going.
Right. You know where I'm going with this.
God's opening doors for us, and we not even thinking. We're just looking for the next door.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, wow, God. I mean, like if you like how, what else you got in there? Just rub. It's like it's a genie or something like that. We're just expecting him to continue to meet our demands and our wishes. And when it doesn't work that way, when it doesn't work the way we expect it, we become very much like I don't like using people's names in the industry and stuff like that, but it makes us very bitter, and we start to believe that God doesn't exist, that God doesn't care about us, that I can do better without God, and so we turn away from him, knowing that he's been a part of our story all the way up to now, but now we're going to live life on our own terms, doing things the way we see fit because he didn't show up the way we expected, and I don't even want to sit here and act like man, I'm that's not my story sometimes. I definitely look for God every day and everything. And when some things don't go well, I'm almost wondering, God, where were you in that? And I'm more mindful nowadays to say, God, I believe you were even in that. And even though it didn't feel good, and even though I didn't like it, I know you're going to use it. I know you're going to use it.
And something that irritates me is when people are always like, you get the people that struggle with believing, and they're always like, well, why does God let bad things happen to good people?
Love that question.
Why does God let good things happen to bad people then?
Love that question too.
And like let's go back to the baby thing. Like me having a dream of being a father. Like it was getting to the point to where I would get, like, a friend of ours would come and, like, she came in, one of our friends, and she announced that, she was pregnant. And I was like, good for you. Cool. Not excited for him. Or, like, my sister who has 6 kids, or another sister that has 6 kids, another sister that's, she's only have 2, but she's about to have another. And they call me. I'm like, how do I tell y'all I really just don't care anymore? Like, or I'll get mad and I'll tell my wife, I'm like, why is it that, like, all these people are having kids, losing their kids, but we can't have our own kids. And that's hard because we fostered, we were both foster parents in North Carolina. So we took those kids that parents weren't doing their jobs and their kids got taken from them. And then we raised them.
Right.
And so we're like, okay, God, you can let us do that, but you can't let us, have our own. And so, like, and that just takes it back to, like, that's all me. Not realizing that, like, maybe I'm just not at that maturity level or that growth level to become a parent of a newborn child that is mine. Maybe God's doing some other things that, like, we're moving. Like, how crazy and chaotic it would be moving to a whole nother state if we had a baby right now?
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I can understand how it's like, you've got to make it. It's crazy how we try to put logic behind why God hasn't done something for us. We try to explain it. We try to then downplay it a little bit in a way to say, like, well, maybe it's just not time. Maybe it's
making excuses for God, like he needs us to do that.
Come on now.
Yeah.
And I think that as you said in your other story, God's timing is perfect. And sometimes even in his timing, there's a level of, like, God does things in a way to where, let's just say that it doesn't happen, and normally it doesn't ever happen the way we think it should happen. It's still perfect because, in a way, there's so much that we go through and there's so much that we feel that we can speak to those who are going through the exact same situation, who want to have kids, who desire and feel like it got, I felt like from the day I was born, I was meant to be a parent, but yet they're struggling with that. And imagine if everybody in this world was just able to have kids, like, just easily, freely, but one person, almost like the Sarah story. Yeah. Of, like, wow, okay, everybody's having kids. I mean, there's so many stories in the Bible where women are like, God, if you'll just give me a child, I'll give him back to you. Or God, if you like you promised us a son, why is that not happening for me, but happening for everybody around me?
Yeah.
As you just said. And I think that God is even working in that story of like, I'm bare without anything right now. And it feels very lonely when everybody around me has something going for them, but me. And
or maybe it comes back to what you said. He's opening other doors for me, and we just not appreciating it. So why is he going to give me that dream if I'm not being appreciative of the other ones he's already given me? Maybe that could be the issue.
Yeah,
it's a lot, Man,
I almost feel like we should check our desire to understand if what our desire is going to fulfill is truly aligned with his will.
Yeah.
And in a way, it's like I Travis Green reprogrammed my mind when a long time ago he said, man, God doesn't open up doors for us. He opens up doors for himself. So that in those doors, when we walk through those doors, people see him. People experience him. And ever since he said that, man, every time I feel like a door's open, I'm like, all right, God, what we doing? How's this looking? Like how you want me to show up? What do you want me to do? You open this door not just for me. I can see the benefits in this, but I know you're trying to do something new here. So how do you want me to show up, and what do you want that to look like? Because I can walk in like, I finally got it. But I think it's more about like, God, what are you showing me as I walk through this door?
Oh, yeah.
What do you want me to do? And how do you want me to show up? And I think that God's timing is like going to be, I think we'll look back and you'll tell a story similar to the story of you finding a place, and that it was so perfect. But everything he had me go through up to that, it had to happen. Because as I continue to share my story with others, they need to see that it wasn't just a easy, like just bam, like it just happened for us.
Yeah.
No, there were plenty of times where we prayed, where we interceded, where we thanked God, where we worshiped, and we continue to worship him in the storm. This is a storm I'm in right now, and I continue to worship him. I know that he's good. I know that he's God. And that doesn't change despite how it feels right now.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
And sometimes, I mean, there's stories in the Bible of God opening doors for other people, but there's also stories in the Bible where Jesus is talking like, I'm at the door knocking, like you can open the door and let me in. And I think that goes beyond just the initial letting Jesus come into your life thing. I think that goes to other situations too.
Right.
Like, when are we going to stop living our lives about us?
Yeah.
And like you said, align our hearts with his heart.
Yeah.
And let him in and let him lead the dinner. Let him lead, the conversations. Let him lead, like whatever it is that we're trying to do, let him do it.
Yeah.
Get behind him.
Yeah.
After you open the door for him.
For sure. Ooh, that's good. No, that's good. I never even looked at it that way. That's a great perspective of how to reframe how we're walking in life. It's like I'm opening the door for you, God. You've opened this door for me, but let me step back and let you walk through first. That's good. That's good. Never even thought about it like that.
Let me use this season that you have put me in.
Yeah.
Let me use this for you. I got this season.
That's good, man. That's good. So with the season you're in, what is it like being a husband to a wife who truly wants to be a mother, but there are a lot of heartbreak moments? Like, how do you show up in that situation? How do you show up? How do you find yourself having to show up and be a reflection of him in those mundane moments of like, here we are again, back in the valley. We thought we were trudging up, and like, where does that put you as far as showing up as a husband in those situations? Honestly,
most of the times I feel like I'm failing at it because she's always been the stronger one in those situations, and she's like, if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen, but it's gonna happen in his timing. He's got us. It's always like at the right times when I'm really down, she picks me up and she's like, no, this is where we at. We walking through this together. He's right here with us. If you down on your knees crying, he's going to keep walking.
So good.
So, she's always been there. So sometimes I feel like as a husband, everybody's like, oh, husbands, they got to be the spiritual leader. Like, that's your job to lead her.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's not. I mean, it is.
Mm-hmm.
But she
can show up sometimes and encourage you.
Yeah.
She can pick you up. Yeah, no.
Absolutely.
I agree with that, because I think that sometimes we take on the brunt of being the sole spiritual leader.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost like it's like, okay, so who encourages and uplifts the spiritual leader then? Like, where do we go for that? And if I can't go to my wife,
mm-hmm.
the helpmate that God gave me,
yeah.
then am I just supposed to continue to stand strong and act like everything's good and put on a front in my own home?
Yeah.
In front of her, like where I should feel the safest.
Mm-hmm. Also, like, if she didn't do that, and I gave up, and she wasn't that strong enough person to be able to like lift me back up and stuff, then we both down in the mud.
For sure. Because she's looking for your leadership solely.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, if he's in the mud, then I have to join him in the mud. Yeah.
So
that's a good point.
God puts people in your life for a reason. And I don't know if you did this, but before I got married, I had a checklist for God. Like, God, when you make my wife, here's a list for you. I thought I knew what I needed. I said, first of all, God, I'm going to need somebody that can make a PowerPoint presentation on why she has to be right all the time. That was not on his list.
Wow.
Nope. I said, God, I need somebody to, throw down in the kitchen with me. Nope. She don't cook. She can cook if she wants to, but she doesn't. So, I mean, opposites attract, what everybody says, and he definitely gave me the opposite of what I asked for.
Sure.
But I'm telling you, it's way better than I ever pictured him giving me. He knew exactly what I was going to need. And if I would have had the list that I had in a wife, I don't think I'd be where I am today. Like, my wife, she sacrifices for me. I mean, she told me when we first started dating, because I was from Florida, she said, never in a million years will you catch me dead or alive living in Florida. And here we are. She's sacrificing. The furthest she's been away from her family is like maybe 45 minutes an hour. Moving away. So, I mean, I definitely, when it comes to like our relationship, she's definitely the better person in the life. Everybody says like, yeah, my wife's my better half. Mm-hmm. My wife is definitely the better half. Not my better half. She's just the better half of this relationship. Sometimes
that's good. I like that.
Sometimes I feel like I'm failing as a husband, but in reality, I feel like together we both fail, but we also both succeed in ways where she succeeds where I fail, and then I succeed where she fails. And so we just become a great team.
That's good.
So it works out.
Oh, that's good. And I think that's so important. It's funny how you said that she was everything that didn't align with your list, but everything that God knew you would need.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy how it doesn't look that way. But sometimes we have to go through situations to realize that, oh my goodness, you had exactly what I like. Imagine if you had everything I wanted you to have, you wouldn't have had that. I didn't know to ask for that. I didn't know to even think that I would need that one day. And look at you showing up in my life, being the true helpmate that God put here in my life, knowing that this day would come, knowing that I would need you here. And I think it speaks to the fact that God knows what we need, even when we don't need it.
Oh yeah.
Like he knows. He already knew. Like, and I always love to say that he's in tomorrow. So in tomorrow where I'm falling short, he knows exactly what I'm going to need. He's already put it in the person that he's put with me. Yep. And I definitely can, I tell people that, you know, a big part of my story is that there was a time where I didn't think I needed my wife anymore. Like I was ready to move on. I felt like I had found better grass. And the crazy thing is that even though I had moved on, God hadn't moved on from this relationship. Mm-hmm. And so as much as I tried to run, he kept telling me to sit still. And I remember it, man, when I tell this story to people, I'm like, man, I was so mad. I'm talking about I was burning up mad. But he knew more than what, oh man, he knew so much more than me. But he knew that like what I was going to continue to go through. And as he called me to be the man that he needed me to be, she was already the woman that he had put in my life.
Absolutely. Yep.
To help me along this way. Mm-hmm. And I see it every time me and her, we sit down and we have deep conversations that we've never had before that are just like, oh, that was so good. Like, whoa, I'm talking about like when I say we have freestyle sessions sometimes where I'm just like, I'm kicking around ideas of like how God is showing up in my life or maybe how he's not showing up or maybe how I'm discouraged. It's crazy how they can pour into us with exactly with what we need to hear in those moments where you're like, that was good. That was good. I can't even contest that. I mean, that had to come directly from God through him, through you. Oh, yeah. And I needed to hear that. That was, and sometimes it may be as simple as like, I don't know what I'm doing in this. Have you talked to God? Mm-hmm. No, I have not. That's great. I mean, I'm sure it didn't take much for you to say that. But yeah, no, I haven't actually done that yet. Great redirection. And so that's always, I think that's an underrated thing of a woman turning you back to the person who's supposed to be leading you. Like think about that for a second. Women look to us to lead, but they recognize who's leading us. And so when they can say like, hey, look, have you prayed about it? Have you talked to God about it? Have you spent time in his presence? They're reaffirming you that I know you're not necessarily the only leader here. Mm-hmm. So have you spoken to the one who's guiding you? And when you have a woman who points you back to God, bro, listen. First of all, that's a woman who understands the org chart very well. Mm-hmm. She gets it. Like she gets that this is not a you decision. This is not a us decision. This is a us go to him decision. This is a us trust him because we don't know what it's going to look like tomorrow. We don't know what we're going to need. We don't know how this is going to play out, but we know he does. Yep. And so big up to all the wives who are continuing to point their men back to God.
You know, I tell people all the time, I'm the boss of my relationship, just not in charge. I'm the boss, but I'm not in charge of anything, nothing. And let me tell you, my God knew me, and you know, I could be somewhat childish, but even outside of that, I hate adulting, like doing adulting stuff, like changing over driver's license or doing taxes and doing your tags and whatever else. She's like, she made me a honey-to-do list when I came in town this weekend. I said, I'm not doing that. That's too much. That's too much adulting. And it's to the point to where if something happened to my wife, none of the bills are getting paid. I have no idea what to do. Nothing. I don't know who she calls. I don't know what's auto drafted. I don't know what's paid online. Like I don't know what dates are paid.
So I sure hope you're reassessing that yes. honey-do list. Like, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and do this. Yep. Yeah, before we end up with no lights and you be looking at me like.
Yeah, she told that was one of the things. She said, call the electrical company down in Florida, get electric to the house because we get the keys on Wednesday. We gotta have electricity.
Sure. Things we don't think about. Nope. Sorry, that's not, I wish, look, Look, we go down there and we tap the house. We kick it around a little bit. Yep. Structure looks like it's in place. All right. And she's like, what about lights? Lights? We got candles, Like, got this. Hey, somebody make sure we get some lights.
Yeah,
open a window. Like, look, we are going to one day look back and, more importantly, realize that, if you haven't already, that without having that person that God put in your life, there are certain pieces that will just go past us. And that's God calling us into the leadership that we are, knowing that without that assistant, without that helper I gave you, so you thought that you were just gonna do it all on your own.
Nope.
Now, first of all, how did that work out without me? God saying, and it's like, and how is that working out for you without them in your life?
Exactly.
And I think that's the beauty of it. I truly do. I truly do. And I'm so glad you came. I mean, normally most people when they come, they just come by themselves. But I'm so glad you and your wife came and y'all sit down and had dinner with us and all. I don't feed everybody, so listen. If you're listening to this, listen to me. You heard what I said in the beginning. My man's been promoting for me for a long time. He hasn't really officially gotten paid for that, but I made sure we made him a great meal tonight because he truly, like even before I felt like, I'll never forget the first time I met you and you were like, and I might have met you beforehand, but you came to me and you were like, dude, me and my men's group and all that, man, we listen to your podcast all the time. Do you remember what I said to you?
Yep. No.
I said, wait, really?
You were shocked that, like, wait, people listen to my podcast?
Yeah, man, I'm still working on that. So, like, I do believe people listen, but I never really did it with the anticipation of what it would look like. So there are moments where I'm still like, well, God, I mean, if they're listening. But, like, if they're not, I'm still going to do this. I told you I was going to be obedient, and I'm going to do this. So I'm not going to focus as much on numbers. I'm not going to focus on metrics. I'm not going to really focus on who's listening and who's not, because I don't want to look at the numbers and be like, man, ain't nobody listening to this, man. Like, why am I still doing this? I'm just going to focus on doing it. And that way, if you're using it, great. Because I think a fear I used to have was that nobody's going to listen. Like, more importantly, I didn't think anybody was ever going to come on here and talk.
Oh,
Men
man.
don't talk. Men don't talk. We don't, you said in the beginning, men don't really talk. We don't really open up about things.
Nope.
So who the heck is going to come on here and talk with me? I'm going to be sitting up here talking to my son who sits there, and it's like he goes from me like, and yeah. What you think about that, son? Yeah, it's good. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. We appreciate you coming today. This has been a great show. Thank you so much for bringing so much light to this conversation, Justin. But no, I mean, like, I truly believe that it was people like you who saw the importance of those conversations, and it opened up the conversations to other men, for men to be like, oh, well, shoot. I mean, like, dang, I didn't realize that I wasn't the only person going through that. Like, and I'm just curious, how did it speak to you when you first started listening?
Well, so for me, it goes back to, like, when I first met you at the first outpost I went to. It was like, so I had my stepdad, he's the one that got us into church and, basically drug us to church every day. And he's, I don't know who my biological father is, but, when I introduce him, like, this is my dad,
Sure.
because that's what he is to me. But at the same time, he was never good at, I guess, standing up to my mom. And so he might have been a good, like, stepdad, a good dad to us and stuff, but he was never, like, a great one to like, protect us from her. And so outside of him, he was basically the only male role model I had in my life growing up. And so, to be honest, I don't know what a man was supposed to do, wasn't supposed to do, I never had a dad say, men don't cry or men don't get emotional or something like that. So I grew up, I was a crybaby. I got emotional. When I get, like, really angry, bawling, I start crying. Like, it's not that I'm sad or I'm a crybaby. It's because
you're expressing your emotion. Yeah.
And so,
yeah.
because I didn't, never had a male role model be like, no, that's not how men do this. You know, that's not how a guy acts. So I never knew. So
but honestly, that would have been unhealthy anyway. I mean, like if
Exactly.
you had that, you would have been maybe told that, hey, look, men don't cry, or men, we hide our emotions, or we stuff it down and we cry in the shower, in the car, or something like that if you really have to, but we don't cry. I think when people either create a space for you to recognize that I'm worked up and I'm not just going to feel the emotion, but I'm going to express the emotion. Man, there's a level of like permission to like say, yeah, it's cool to cry. A lot of people don't get that permission. A lot of people don't get the permission to say, man, you're so worked up that however you're feeling right now, I want you to express physically how it feels inside of you.
Yeah.
And think about it. We'll express joy and happiness. When we're happy, oh man, everybody sees it. Like we showcase that a lot. But when we're angry, when we're upset, when we're disappointed, when we're broken, we don't really express that. We kind of just go very stoic.
Yeah.
And we stuff it down.
I got really good at being quiet.
Yeah.
Shutting down completely. I mean, even when my wife and I, when we first started dating and we'd get into a fight, dude, I could go days without conversation. And because I never knew, like,
is that what you saw though?
Communication helped.
Was that what you saw growing up though? Is that something that you
I saw my dad was so afraid of my mom. That's what he did. He shut down. He stopped talking and he just let her go. He just let her do her thing. So that's what I thought we were supposed to do.
For sure.
So when my wife was angry, my wife likes to talk things out.
Right.
You know, if there's a problem, she'd be like, all right, let's sit down. We're going to talk about this. And we're like, I would say nothing. And I could go for days without talking. I thought
because it had been made normal to you. You saw it before. It was something that you were familiar with and you mimicked what you saw at one time. Yeah.
Yeah. To the point where I would actually get afraid if my wife was upset. Because I saw how my mom was when my dad upset her.
Jeez.
And I'm just like, I mean, I knew how my mom was when we upset her. And then just seeing a grown man just be overruled by a woman, it's just like, how do you deal with that? I learned from my mom that no matter, well, first of all, one of the reasons why I didn't want to be a father was because I didn't want to be a parent like her. Because everybody said, oh, genes are passed down. You know, habits are passed down. I was terrified to treat children the way that I was treated. And so, and then not really having like, you know, so when I first started dating my wife, you know, we started talking about having kids and stuff and fostering and stuff. I'm just like, I don't know how to do this because like, what happens if I do something wrong or you do something wrong? Like, what am I supposed to do? You know, am I going to get trouble for not discipline? Am I going to get trouble for discipline? Am I going to get trouble for, you know, overruling you? Which I feel like in parenting, it's okay to overrule, like not overrule, but like communicate with the other parent and say like, you know, let's talk. Like, obviously, like have their back in the situation, but behind the situation, be like, well, this is what should have happened or something, you know, like teamwork it.
But see, what's crazy is that it's crazy how all of that stems from what you've experienced, like what you've been through, what you've seen. It's fueling the fear. It's fueling the disbelief. It in a way, everything we've been through fuels our current state if we don't address it. Because you can say, okay, well, you know what? My mom did the best she could in spite of it hurting, in spite of it feeling very like she didn't care, in spite of her feeling very much like she just overruled and just ran over us. And I don't have to be that parent. So I'm going to move forward. A lot of times we swing the pendulum and we just say, well, I'll never be the parent that they are. And we say that verbally, but we never go back and look at like how that made us feel so that we can correct our patterns that come from the hurt that happened there.
Yeah.
And so in turn, what we do is we say we'll never be that parent, but it's crazy how we end up looking just like them.
Yeah. And that's what scares me because my mom's mom, my grandmother, she was very abusive. So she was an abusive parent to my mom. She was abusive to to her grandkids. And so when I was I'll never forget when I was at that first outpost and we brought up like mom wounds or something, and somebody in the group said, you know, I was talking about my mom and the issues that I have with her, and someone was like, well, you know, maybe she just wasn't dealing with what happened to her and all this stuff, and I was just like, that sounds like bull crap, because the way I learned was I saw what she was doing to me. I saw how she treated me, how she didn't care for me. And I knew right away that's not how I wanted to do it to kids. So I was like, if she saw and she felt all this pain from her mom, why would she turn around and reciprocate that same level of pain to her kids?
Okay, so hear me out. I in a way agree with what that person was trying to point out to you, in that I think we have the intentions to do better.
Mm-hmm.
We can look at past circumstances and situations and say, I didn't enjoy that experience. I really didn't like it. If I could do a do-over, I wouldn't have chose to be in that situation. Yeah. I would have chose to have a new mom, a completely different life. What we do is, though, we recognize that we didn't like it, but we never process the fact that in knowing that I don't want to be like them, I have to
make some changes.
Yes, we have to make some changes, but I have to face what it was that they did and express how that harmed me. And there's a level of forgiveness that allows us to surrender all that pain. Because the truth is you can recognize you didn't like it, but you'll carry that pain.
Yeah.
And that pain will show up as a parent. And a lot of times I feel like if God knits us all in the womb to be exactly what he's called us to be, he also knows when our parents are sometimes ready for the gift that he wants to give us. And I think it's in walking in forgiveness and surrender of the pain that we begin to be exactly the parents that he's going to need us to be for the gift that he wants to give us. But there's so many of us that recognize I hated what I experienced, and we say we're going to do better, but we literally we don't know better. All we know is what we've seen. So when you get that handbook and the baby's handed over to you, you start running the exact same plays unconsciously. Like, you want to do better, but unconsciously, the only plays you got in your playbook are the ones you've seen. And so if you've never actually stopped to say, you know what, I don't just not want to be her, but I want to get rid of all the stuff that she filled my tank with, all the hurt. I want to surrender that over. It's in giving that up that I feel like, what are we doing? We're opening our hands to receive a new blueprint, a new pattern, a new handbook from the only person that really can show us how to lead a family and care for a family the way we really want to, and not the way we've been cared for. So I think there's a lot to that. And that, yeah, man, I too have been in your book, and not from an abusive standpoint, but I feel like my mom could have been there more emotionally for me. She could have been more nurturing. She could have been maybe softer in certain areas to uplift me and to build me up and not let me just soak in like how I saw myself. And I recognize she did the best she could because I know that she didn't just get those patterns. She didn't wake up with them one day. A lot of that she experienced herself. And I can't go back and heal my mom's wounds, but I can heal the ones I have that were put there.
Yeah, for
just
sure.
like you. And so I think that I definitely resonate with your story, bro. And I pray that as God continues to lead you and your wife, he helps you, he allows you to be able to like recognize that stuff happened. That sucked. And I don't want to redo that. I don't want to run that back. I don't want to be that parent. I recognize I didn't like it, but I don't want to I don't want to let like all the hurt that I still kind of feel from what she did affect me like once I have my own kid, you know? And I love to say like, yo, there's no way it could happen. But no, man, I was that parent.
Yeah.
I became him. I'm telling you from like the other side. I didn't even realize I had become it. I became it. And so as I'm on this new journey, my kids recognize there's a different level of me now that I show up differently. And it's never too late. My son's 15 now. But it's never too late to go back and be like, yo, I messed up. I messed up, bro. I'm going to be correcting some things. So you're going to see a change in the system. You're going to see a change in the software. It's going to be a little bit different. Bear with me, but know that I messed up a lot.
Yeah.
But
it's weird. As you were talking, I feel like God just put something on me. He's like saying, like, you spoke earlier about you getting upset that all the people around you are having kids. I think God knows that, you know, my parents are never going to be somebody that I go to for parenting advice, you know. Like I love my mom. I love my dad. I forgive my mom and dad. But I've always made it very clear that they'll never be in a position to do any more hurt to me. And so, like,
boundaries.
Very, which is healthy.
Sure.
So, like, you know, my mom now, I'm 32, about to be 33 years old. My mom has 5 kids. She travels everywhere to visit all of her kids except for me. And everybody's like, oh, it's because they all have kids. That's not an excuse. And so I'm like, you know, when I have kids, is she going to start coming around then? Because then it's like, well, that's not right. But then I'm sitting here thinking, like, and God's telling me, like, I have people around you that are having kids so that when you have kids, you'll be able to have somebody that is in your circle where you can go to for help. That may have been through, like, oh, yeah, this happened to us too. Try doing this, you know, try getting some advice from these people or these people or these people. Because we have a very large circle of people having kids right now.
Sure.
And so, I mean, we at the age, you know.
Yeah.
Everybody's getting married. Everybody's having kids. So, you know, like, it takes a lot to say. Actually, that's the first time in my life that I've ever said that I love my mom. That's the first time.
Do you mean it?
Yeah, I definitely mean it. And I can act like I don't all the time, but if I didn't love and care for my mom, then I wouldn't be so upset that she doesn't come see me.
Well, you know what? I was just about to tell you. I sensed it, that there's a young kid inside of you right now who still yearns for his mother to be the mother that he needed, but he didn't get. And even though you're grown now, he still wants that mother. He still wants to be cared for, and he still wants to feel loved the way you love her, despite what you went through.
And I think that's the true, like, root of my mom wound. You know, not that, you know, not just that she was abusive, but I think it was the neglect. You know, it was knowing. It wasn't just assuming or thinking. It was knowing that she didn't care about me. She made it known.
Well, hold on. Let me can I reframe that a little bit?
Sure.
What you experience, you told yourself the story that she doesn't care about you. like a lot of us, in that she can't care about me if she would do this. She never really said she doesn't care about you, but
she has.
Okay, well,
that's a different part of that's a more in the story.
Sheesh, okay, well, and there's that. I sometimes I am good for giving people grace in spite of who they showed up as, because I've been given so much grace. And even when people can't show up the way I'd like them to show up, I still give them grace, because I feel like everything I've been through is still going to be used.
Absolutely.
Like I went through that, and it's going to be used. And so it makes it a little bit easier when I know I've received so much grace to give my mom, my dad, and other people in my life grace, in spite of knowing that there was a little kid inside of me, there still is a little kid inside of me that wanted them to show up differently. He wanted that Cosby family. He wanted that Will Smith, Uncle Phil, and just that whole family life.
Absolutely.
And when I didn't get it, but I'm watching everybody else get it, as you described earlier, it makes me feel like I missed out on something, instead of recognizing that what I went through, it was still for God's glory. There was still a story that I can share with others, to where when I stand on stage and share with you, you're like, bro, I'm not by myself in this.
For sure.
I'm not by myself in this. And so, and that doesn't change the fact that, man, that sucked. That sucked. Let's not overlook that. That sucked. I hate that happened to you. And I know that God's going to use that.
Yeah.
He's going to use that. He's going to use that when you become a father. He's going to use that in the lives of other men you touch that are maybe going through the exact same story. He's going to use it today in this conversation to many who listen to this, and they're like, bro, yeah, man, he hit the full gamut of my story. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. And let them know that you're not alone. God's not done yet.
But so I don't have a good relationship with my mom, but my mom and my wife talk all the time. All the time. And I even asked her a couple weeks ago, I said, how come you call my wife every day, but you never call me? I just don't think about it. Okay, at least you think about my wife. That's good enough.
Have you ever like opened up to your mom
Yes.
in a way to where like you've given her, like, she feels safe to, like, because I know you expressed earlier that you were like, well, I don't think I'll ever need you to help me raise kids, but like, and I know that could hurt, that could probably hurt right there, and that probably may have left a wound on her, but have you opened up to her to maybe let her know that there is still a little boy that wants his mom and that would like to mend a broken relationship that is holding space inside to create a new relationship despite what happened? Almost like saying, look, I forgive you for what we've been through, but and I want to offer you grace for knowing that I'm grown now and I still need you. Like, yeah, my wife, she loves the relationship you have, but I want a relationship with you. But I'm not going to lie, it's going to take humility. That's going to take, like, you putting your pride to the side. I know.
And
I already know. Like,
I actually, all the time, I'm like, I just need to have a conversation with her. Or, I left one of the second outpost I went to, I was like, you know what? I really feel like God's telling me, write her a letter. Write it down, because you could write. You could say a lot when you write stuff down.
Sure, no interruptions.
No interruptions. You're not looking at nobody in the face. You're not seeing reactions. You just writing down how you feeling.
Yeah.
And so I felt it on it. Like, just write it down, send it to her.
Mm-hmm.
You know the address. Just do it.
Yep.
But I haven't done it yet.
Okay. What's
because
keeping you?
that fear of denial, the fear of rejection. Be like,
yeah.
Because I could tell you right now, my mom will probably like, why is he writing a letter? And she'll call me. She won't even open it. She'll just call me like, what's it say? You know, it's like leaving voicemails. She's like, why'd you write me a letter? Like we have phones.
Right. Right. And I recognize that sometimes, you know, we can already anticipate what we believe will happen. I think my pastor one time said, man, yeah, there was a time when every time I talked to my dad, man, we were fighting. And so there was a moment where I stopped and I wrote a letter of all the things that he did good. Mm-hmm. He said, man, that was a hard one to write, but I wrote a letter of all the things he did good. And I stopped by his house and I shoved it into his hand and I walked off. And he read it. And the relationship they had that followed that began to be something only God could have worked in, that brought a peace and a connection back into their lives. And I truly believe this. You believe this too. And that when we surrender something to God and put our pride and our fear to the side, now recognizing that, yeah, I'm scared. I too am scared. So I think I'm speaking this for both of us. I think that it gives room for God to work in that. And so, you know what? I'm going to make a pact with you today, bro. If you'll write that letter to your mom, I'll write it to my mom.
That's going to be hard.
I know.
It's going to be hard.
Oh, no. I know. Oh, no. I'm not telling you to do something that's going to be like super simple, because I'm sitting over here and I'm like, why am I doing this? Like, I don't have to do this, Rob. Like, don't do this. Like, you don't want to do that either.
That's also going to take a lot of prayer to God and be like, listen, God, I need you to bring back some memories of some good things that my mom's done, because I honestly can't think of one.
And look, I'm not saying you got to write a letter of all the things she did good. I'm simply saying that you need to write a letter of how you feel. And man, I wish Dan was here right now, man. Because man, when I say like Dan the Builder, like he just opened my eyes. Dan the Builder. What was it?
Dan the Doer.
Dan the Doer. I'm sorry, Dan. I mean, you're the builder now, but you're Dan the Doer. He helped me through a lot of that. Just realizing that, man, there's you gotta offer him grace, but more importantly, sometimes you gotta put your pride to the side. And you got to put the hurt to the side. You got to surrender that hurt. It's hard to push past the hurt to do something like this. But man, I'm
gonna do it.
He did it for us, man.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
He did it for us.
Yeah.
And if I can't be an example of him, as much as I'm sitting here like, I feel you, let's not do this. Let's just not do it.
Let's do it later.
All right. Yeah. Nah, it needs to be done. It needs to be done. Yeah, man, this is good, man. I appreciate you putting me here now. Look at this. Like, this episode got me over here now, and I got homework to do now. Thank you so much for that. Man.
My wife's going to keep telling me to do it, too.
I don't worry. I'm not going to let her walk out of this house without reminding her, like, look, stay on him.
Yeah, please do, because she will.
I think that it'll bring forth a great story later on for both of us. I think it'll give God room, and trust me, I'm going to pray about this. It'll give God room to mend the relationship, and trust me, I've seen him do it. So I don't even know why I'm sitting here like, man, yeah, but you don't know my mom.
Don't matter.
But I said the same thing about my wife at one time. Man, you don't know my wife. And here we are. So yeah, bro, we're gonna do that. We're gonna do that.
All right.
We're gonna do that.
Deal.
Well, bro, I appreciate you coming and sitting down with me today, man. This has been fun. This has been good. Anything any stones we left unturned here?
No, I think we turned over more than I expected to turn over.
Yeah. It happens that way. It happens that way for sure. But no, this is good. I think we both going to step away from here with some homework to do. It's been long. It's been long overdue, and I'm sitting here like, man, look at God. Look at how he flipped this back on me.
Ask us to do this, and I say ask. Tell us to do that. Tell me to do this.
We got to step past that fear though.
Yeah,
because I think we're both in the same place of like, I know how she's gonna respond. And what if she rejects me again? And what if I could begin to tell you all the things that are going through my head right now, and it's like all of it is just like a barrier to saying don't do
laughter, joking.
Yeah, yeah.
She's gonna make a joke of it, or all these things, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's like when you forgive somebody, you don't do it for them.
More importantly, when you get it out, I think it's going to continue to provide you healing and release. It's going to set you up for the next season that you're going to walk into.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about, bro. Love
Let's
it.
do it.
I love it. All right. Well, I appreciate you, man.
Today.
I know. See, did I tell you when you come here and you just let God kind of like
next time I'm coming with an expectation.
Did I tell you when you just, hey man, I don't know what we're gonna talk about today. Awesome. God he will use that. Trust me. He knows how to talk to us through us to say exactly what needs to be said. And sometimes it's not just what needs to be said for them, but sometimes, hey, look, there may be a lot of men who may say, look, you know what, I need to write that same letter. But hey, I would say do it. Do it. Let's all do it. Mm-hmm. Let's do it. Even if it takes you a little while to send the letter. Let's write the letter. Let's start. Let's take steps forward.
Hey, writing it is also a form of release.
For sure.
You can write it.
For sure.
And then take your time, pray about sending it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and good thing is my mom was way off in Tennessee, man. It'll take a minute for that thing to get there. So I got time to forget about it after I write it and send it. So
I'm excited for what's going to come.
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm praying for you. I'm praying for everybody that's going to do this. I think this is going to be good. I think this is going to be good. I think this is going to open up something. I think it's going to release something. I think it's going to clear out some blockage in us. It's going to free up some hurt.
Yeah.
All right, bro. Thank you, man. I appreciate you.
Sir.
I thank y'all for listening today, man. It's been good. I feel like a lot of good's going to come out of this. I'm excited about it. Bro, thank you again for all your support, man. You're the man, bro.
And listen, if y'all are listening to this, share it with just one person. Just one person.
There you go. Tell them.
Butterfly effect. I
love it. That's what he did. That's what my brother did. I mean, he let me know. He said, man, I started sharing it. Mm-hmm. And I recognize that sometimes we can hear something and say, man, that was good. But imagine how many other people needed to hear that too. And you could have shared it with them, and you could have helped them through something that you didn't even realize they were going through. Oh, dang, I didn't know that would affect you. But no, share it. Share it. Hit that share button and just share it to some random person that you haven't spoken to in a while. Share it to your mom or your dad. Who knows? Who knows what could happen from that?
Just don't share it to my mom yet.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Okay, so this is the beauty of this. For most people that have been on this podcast, they know that like by the time this comes out, I will hope you have done that. And don't worry, I'm going to check in with you and be like, have you done it yet? Okay, man, talk about, look, I'd love to hear a praise report by the time this episode comes out of like, bro, let me tell you what came out of that. Matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and say it. Man, I wish I had my phone on me right now because I'd love to call up my brother, Matt Roscoe, and be like, bro, just real quick, just encourage us on a story of how a mom and a son reconnected. Man, and I don't know if you've met Matthew, man, but like when I say that, like he kind of put a fire in me that it's never too late to reconnect with the mom you need, even if it wasn't the mom you had or you got initially. Man, like it's heavy. It's good. It's good. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to that for both of us. I got faith that that's going to happen in both of our lives.
All right. Bet.
All right, guys. Thank y'all for listening. Thank y'all for hanging out with us. Bro, you want to share any? I don't know if you have any. You want to share any? You got any? Are you on social or anything like that? I don't know if you have a presence anywhere like that.
Man, I got Facebook just at Marketplace. Instagram, just _GatorFan20.
Who?
Gator fan. I'm a Gator fan. Florida Gators.
Got it. Okay. So, Gator fan, what?
20, I think.
Gator fan, man.
I don't even know how.
Look, don't even worry about it, man. Look,
listen. If you need my social, ask my wife.
look,
Find her.
He doesn't know, man. He's not looking for you to check him out. But I thank y'all for joining us today, man. Brother, I appreciate you, man. This is long overdue, and I'm excited we finally got to sit down and do this together, man.
Yeah.
This is gonna be good.
Been great.
Yeah. No. Thank y'all again, man. We're out of here. We'll see y'all again on the next episode. All right, y'all be blessed.
We appreciate you listening today and hope that if you enjoyed this episode, you'll like and subscribe and also listen to past episodes. We hope to bring you great future content as well. Please comment your thoughts on this episode as well as leave any prayer requests below so that this community can pray alongside you. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Facebook at God's Glory and Israel Stories.
Brothers, we understand how the thoughts of even facing your own past and current story and the pain and hurt that come along with this is no easy task. But you're not alone, as you hear in these episodes. Nor has God forgotten you or left your side, as He's in it with you, fighting alongside you through the storms of life. He loves and has already forgiven you, no matter what you have done, and He wants a relationship with you. Your healing, freedom, and growth are important to God, and to us as well. Maybe you're considering giving up, or need someone to talk to. Here are a few resources that already exist that we hope can shine a light into that dark place you're in. The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline number is 1-800-273-8255. If you need support but are not in crisis, consider reaching out to a warm line with individuals who would love to talk with you. Speaking to someone on these calls is typically free and confidential and run by people who understand what it's like to struggle in life. Find a local number by going to warmline.org.